How's it going, guys? My name is Stone and welcome to These Reviews. Today I'm going to be talking about one of my favorite albums by Zappa and the Mothers of Invention, Weasels Rip My Flesh, released in 1970. This would be the second album released under the Mothers' name after they disbanded in 1969. With this album focusing more on their live and studio improvisations rather than Burnt Weenie Sandwich, which focused more on their arranged compositions. Now, while it's difficult for me to decide after all this time becoming a Zappa fan what my favorite Zappa albums are, I feel like this would easily be in the top 10, maybe even the top 5 depending on the day, as its musical environment is simply uncompromising and unlike anything Mothers and Zappa had done up to this point. Its avant-garde elements, unique use of vocals, and odd time signatures creates such a dissonant, unsettling atmosphere that still manages to carry moments of bliss and melody in between all of this madness. Its nature to be both cynical and complex makes it one of the Mothers' most difficult listens, along with We're Only In It For The Money. But with multiple listens, I find that the variety on here can invoke such an invigorating experience, I suppose, with its jarring transitions from track to track working in its favor. The opening side of Weasels is perhaps the most experimental in my opinion, with most of the tracks being live improvs conducted by Zappa. The first being Did You Get Any On Ya, a song that I'd say really throws you into the deep end of this album through its hectic drum groove. This is definitely one of the more uncomfortable tracks to sit through, partly due to the talking in a German accent, combined with the wordless vocal noises and chaotic saxophone squeals. But I do find these qualities to be quite suitable alongside one another and adds to the dissonance of the album's music. The band moves so slow across each section of the song, which provides an unsettling atmosphere that is already, in my opinion, fills the album up with tension right from the beginning, and that tension never seems to go away until the second side, I'd say. We then get to a cover of Little Richard's Directly From My Heart to You, taken from the Hot Rat session, and I find this to be a perfect fit for this album, as its slow drum groove and guitar riff are both both of them are very menacing throughout it. The instruments that take the spotlight, however, is definitely Sugarcane Harris's violin. His performance really dominates the song, in my opinion, and especially when you get to the solo, it just, like I said, adds to that tension of the song, while the vocals, I forgot who sings the song, but they kind of add some normality to it. Actually, I could just look, it should have it on here. Oh, it is Don Sugarcane Harris. Wow. The more you know. If this is the guy that does the violin on Gumbo Variations, dude, bravo, because that song goes hard. But that's a different review. This song, like I said, has a little normality to it just because the vocals, and it seems like a more straightforward song. But it especially feels more accessible when you compare it to the next song, Prelude to the Afternoon of a Sexually Aroused Gas Mask. What a title. I know it probably has to do with his past with his dad and all, but in my opinion, this is probably the most difficult song on the entire album, and definitely on side 1, as it's basically a vocal arrangement that features a lot of screaming and like gurgling noises. The little music that is on this wild acapella kind of reminds me of Soft Machine, with its dissonant keyboard and forensic saxophone playing, but doesn't really last too long, however. And while I do think this song is great at providing a hysteric sense of mother mania, especially live, I don't think this track really benefits on its own. Like, it's definitely not a song I would go out of my way to hear by itself, but in the context of this album, especially side 1, it works really well and just getting you scratching in your head, I guess, like, what is this madness? But it's just the Mothers for you, you know? I think this too would be a lot better if you were watching it live rather than just hearing it on studio, much like drum solos, which is a different topic, but I like drum solos in songs, even if they're like 15 minutes or so. It depends on how good the solos are, but it's a different tangent. We then get to another highlight on side one, probably my favorite song on side one, Toads of a Short Forest. I really enjoy this track and how Zappa was able to mix the studio portion of the song with the live improv. It begins with this sweet and flavorful composition that makes you think you're about to get something as lovely as a track off Burnt Weenie Sandwich, until it takes you straight into this live performance that was being conducted by Zappa. And I absolutely love how he's able to orchestrate the band to be chaotic, yet he keeps the rhythm section intact enough for the rest of the players to be either slightly off or completely in their own world. And I also love how he explains this to the audience as the song is going, and just makes me think, it makes me hope that I could be in a band that would let me conduct them in this way, because I feel like you get a lot of crazy yet creative stuff out of this kind of style of music, or style of rock music, I suppose. And as that performance comes to a spectacular conclusion, we get a little monologue by Zappa before we get to the side one closer, Get a Little. See what I did there? This closes the first half of this record very well, as it's simply a live performance of Zappa shredding it on the guitar, maintaining a very steady beat that never really goes off the rails, which I think is fair after everything we've just heard beforehand. I absolutely adore Frank's guitar skills on this track, and I enjoy just as much that with the guitar tone, as it has a real fuzzy and psychedelic sound to it that helps him seamlessly glide through the fretboard like it's nothing new to him, which at this point he was a master of the guitar. I mean, for me, really, he hit the nail on the head when he got to Willie the Pimp, but no more Hot Rocks talk, I digress. This is definitely one of my favorite songs to boof to by Zappa, and if I have had any complaints about this track, is that I wish it went on just for a little longer. But the talk in the beginning is a little creepy, but at the same time, that's just Zappa for you. I think that's just something you have to get used to at this point. So while I personally think side one features Zappa's most tumultuous sides of music, I also find, I find side two just to be one of Zappa's flat out best sides of vinyl out there, as it's the way it ebbs and flows from crazy to catchy to sometimes beautiful is unlike anything he's captured on a side of vinyl. Well, not unlike anything, because he had done Uncle Me previous to this, and obviously some of the early Mothers albums, but with this much variety, I suppose. And for me, it's just up there with some of his best sides of music. It opens with the very ominous instrumental, the Eric Dolphy Memorial Barbecue Home. Sorry, I don't know why I say home. Memorial Barbecue, a tribute to the multi-instrumentalist that Zappa cited as an influence on the Freak Out sleeve. And this track really illustrates the band's avant-garde and free jazz elements in a disorderly manner that, much like was done live, is done in the studio. And this track really feels aimless at times, but in a way that continues to conjure an atmosphere so ugly and musically challenging that it becomes a fascinating listen, in my opinion. I feel like ugly, is the right word to describe this, because it just sounds so off, and it's just, like I said, so unsettling, much like side one. And it feels like it's going to go somewhere, but then it kind of just stops, and then, I don't know, it's a wild song. It's definitely the hardest to kind of like review. But I really love the clunkiness that the drums have throughout the track and within their multiple solos, and how the brass instruments intertwine with their madness so well. It's definitely one of Zappa's finest pieces, in my opinion, and the kind of song that always pulls me back in, as there's always something new to get out of it, or another weird moment to cherish, I suppose. And just when you think it couldn't get any harder to sit through, it's then followed up by the song Dwarf Nebula Processional March and Dwarf Nebula. It begins with a short composition that features some lovely flute and guitar playing, in my opinion, backed by a nice marching rhythm, before abruptly transitioning into some avant-garde studio madness that only Zappa could do so well. Now, based on the title, it gives me the impression that I'm like traveling incredibly fast through space, much like you would in Star Wars, except I'm not in the Millennium Falcon. I'm just literally flying through it, and sounds like your mind's being altered by the speeds at which you're traveling at, which leaves your brain utterly insane. I mean, it kind of threw my mind for a twist when I first heard the song, and especially going from beginning to end, with the only song I knew being the one after this one. So it was just like, for me, a perfect build up to the more melodic stuff which comes later. But maybe I'm thinking about this song too much, but I really have to say I like how prickly the tape manipulation is, or whatever he's doing to make these sounds, as it really feels like you can feel the song on your fingertips. Kind of like Out Bloody Rageous by Soft Machine, not to keep referencing them, but like the beginning of that song, how it just feels like there's a lot of texture to it. And I like how he's able to do that with this avant-garde song. I forgot the other name of the song right now, but there's another song on We're Only In It For The Money like this that I absolutely adore. It's a nasal kaleidoscopic music, something like that. I know I'm butchering the name, but like this is kind of the same vibe in my opinion, where it feels like it's a song and then it totally just throws you for a loop. So yeah, while my brother personally finds this song to be like the most god-awful thing on the entire album, I'd say that this song has a little more character than the Gas Mask song. So yeah, and then from this point forward, we are given 3 of the most accessible and melodic tracks on the entire album, and makes the music even more rewarding after listening to everything we had just heard before, which is just crazy and very little vocals as well. But the first, well, vocals that have lyrics to them, but the first of which being one of Zappa's catchiest songs, My Guitar Wants to Kill Your Mama. This is easily the most straightforward rock track on the album, which still has some of that Zappa weirdness through it due to its peculiar horn section, or horn and guitar solo, which I really admire. Like I said, kind of brings you back to that weirdness that Zappa's music has when he's not being accessible, much like this song is. And while it does sound like this is the kind of rock music that Frank Zappa would make unironically, I think the lyrics go hand in hand with the hard rock sound that this track has, so I feel like it works really well on its own. And I think it was a single back in the day, so I could totally see this song being one of the few singles he would have out to the public. But overall, I think that this is one of the few songs that an everyday music listener can enjoy, especially if to be used as a gateway to Zappa's music, because yeah, definitely one of the first songs I kind of heard, and like I said, it's easy to listen to, it's not too crazy, doesn't really prepare you for what's to come in his career. But we then get to what is currently, as of now, my favorite song on the album, Oh No. The main melody of the song was originally used in the Lumpy Gravy album, yet is recreated by the Mothers with their original singer Ray Collins, which for me I really like because it provides a nice sense of energy that the original Mothers had, much like in Freak Out and Absolutely Free. Its melody is just so catchy and complex that I usually find it playing in my head, especially when, well, the whole bit I really enjoy, but especially the part where he's like, do you really think it can be told? Like, it's just like these little nuggets and moments in Zappa's music that, like, much like King Kong, where just like, I just hear them in my head and I try to like play on my guitar, like with the tabs that are available online, but can be tough to keep up with, especially in this version of the song. Though it's a little under 2 minutes, this song is very entertaining all the way through, and I think it's as good, if not better, than My Guitar Wants to Kill Your Mama. I don't know, it's a hot take, but I think this song just has just a groovier melody, I guess. I also love how it transitions into the next song, which is an instrumental, the Orange County Lumber Truck. This has one of the sweetest moments on the entire album, in my opinion, with such a delightful melody that doesn't feel like it belongs on Weasels Rip My Flesh, yet it fits perfectly with the album's progression. I hate to say that M word again, but I find the guitar melody to be so good alongside the saxophone that is playing it with him. And I love how it becomes the blueprint for another fuzzy guitar solo towards the latter half. This is definitely another favorite of mine that works perfectly as the second to last track, especially when that solo comes to an abrupt ending and we conclude this album on a rather high yet rebellious note with the title track, Weasels Rip My Flesh. which is a song that is nearly 2 minutes of just feedback that devours the live audience with its screeches and incomprehensible playing. Now, I'll be honest, I love to listen to this song unironically at times. I just love how much balls this band had to have a song that has like so much chaos, I guess, and just so much like I said, it's very rebellious. It's not music at all really, but they give it a name and they call it a song. And honestly, I like how they're just fucking around, and it really works as like I said, as an album closer. Kind of like as All of Music stated in their review, a perfectly logical conclusion to this album within the context that it has. And as the song does come to a halt, I absolutely love how the audience is chanting for more. I know I would be if I was over there, because I think it's just like I said, ironically it's entertaining, and as a closer it really works, seeing how this album bookends on total madness, I'd say. So yeah, my favorite side of this album has to be side 2, just because like I said, side 2 all the way through, all the ebbs and flows from like Eric's Barbecue, Guitar Wants to Kill Your Mom, and it's just like the way it flows is crazy, but it works so well. Not the cap on side 1 though, because I think side 1 is awesome, but it's just it can be a lot, especially for the start of an album. My top 4 songs, since there's only I think 10 or 11, I'll do 5. My top 5 is Oh No, Orange County Lumber Truck, Toads of a Short Forest, Eric Dolphy Memorial Barbecue, and then Get a Little. Yeah, I do definitely want to get a little. I'm gonna show the vinyl off for a little bit. This is an original pressing I found. I'm very lucky. It was a little pricey, I guess, but very much worth it because I never see this album anywhere. And the one time I did, I got it. I like the back with, I guess, 3 of the same photos of Zappa. Quite weird. I feel like if I saw this in a record store without any idea who this guy was, I don't know, I'd be confused. I would assume that the music goes with the album cover. I think it does personally, but yeah. And I'll also show you the original sleeve. Pretty nice on the Bizarre label. Photo I assume is Zappa, and then some guy that looks like he's in the band. Yeah. So I'm just reading what it says. We make records that are a little different. We present musical and sociological material which the important record companies would probably not allow you to hear. Just what the world needs, another record company. Quite ironic, I love it. I think on my Hot Rats album it has the same kind of sleeve, so yeah, enjoyed it quite a bit. And I'd love to know your guys' thoughts on this album. Big fan of it. Still don't know where I'd place in my top 10. Because I like, as of now, like I said, I love like Joe's Garage, Hot Rats, Grand Wazoo. I still love Freak Out. I think nowadays though, as much as I said Freak Out is probably my favorite album by Zappa, I think my favorite nowadays is Uncle Meat. Just because, as I've seen other YouTubers comment, it has the best qualities of all of his work in terms of like the weird songs, the jazzy influence material, and just the voice doll, like all that madness, you know. So yeah, let me know your comments, let me know your thoughts, give me some facts on this album I didn't mention, and enlighten me. Hope to see you guys in the next video. Take care, bye.